One thing that people should know about me is that I am a huge fan of Marvel Comics. I grew up more with Marvel in comparison to the other franchises I grew up with, such as DC Comics and Todd McFarlane's Spawn. These were the heroes that shaped most of my childhood. I loved cartoons like the classic 90s Spider-Man, Incredible Hulk, and the other shows like Avengers Earth's Mightiest Heroes and Spectacular Spider-Man. Then along came the MCU, which was such a wonderful way of growing up with these characters leading all the way to Endgame. Which not only did I cry like a little bitch, but it also makes the rapid decline of the MCU as a whole lately all the more upsetting. And their games, while having a pretty big hit or miss track record, were some of my favorite gaming experiences growing up. I absolutely loved the Ultimate Alliance games. Spider-Man Web of Shadows was a great Spider-Man game, and the Marvel vs. Capcom franchise is one legendary one that's still near and dear to my heart to this day. Shout out to Maximilian Dude for the fantastic Infinite Beyond mod. Which then, of course, leads us to the stinkers that would plague the lineup as well. The movie tie-in games ranged from to blech. Marvel Nemesis was a not-so-great foray into the fighting game 3D sphere. I left Contest of Champions a better person than I was in it. And of course, their first attempt at a live service game absolutely failed with Marvel's Avengers. Over time, my interest in Marvel was slowly declining faster than the MCU's quality would sooner decline, and interest wasn't just there anymore, with no real hope of coming back. So a part of me was just hoping that Marvel would just find a way to bring me back in some way and fill in that massive hole that Disney left. Where is this huge tangent about my history with Marvel going, you may ask? Well, let me answer that question with this question. What if I said that Marvel later would then go on from releasing one of their worst live service games to one of their best live service games of all time in the span of 4 years? Well, there was an interesting announcement in March of 2024 for a game called MarvelRivals. And everyone saw it, let out a collective blah, saw that it looked like yet another Overwatch clone, and just waved it off. But as the year progressed, intrigue began to build up, and I decided to keep a closer eye on it leading up to the game's release. Then, lo and behold, 9 months later, the game would release in December of 2024. I cannot believe that I am saying this without a slightest hint of hyperbole, but MarvelRivals is easily the biggest surprise of 2024 and was the answer to the hole in my heart. MarvelRivals had all the hallmarks of it being a flash-in-the-pan, flavor-of-the-month game that would get an initial week of success and then just slowly fade into the lower player counts, and that would be about it. So you can imagine my shock when it is shown that this game, within the span of 2 weeks, would go on to then reach a grand total of 20 million players. Damn! Not only that, but also at the time of me recording this, the game would have an all-time peak of over 600,000 players and would keep a 24-hour peak of over 500,000 players and would still have over 400,000 players on Steam at this current moment. That is honestly impressive. And by the time this video comes out, not only would Season 1 already be released, but also 2 new playable characters, and a new game mode and map to go along with it, and much more. This game has been able to accomplish the impossible and recreate the Overwatch fame and still continue to thrive. And as an Overwatch refugee, I am extremely happy that this game is seeing the incredible success that it is now. For the last several years, we have seen live service games just go to die and never fully recover, and in some cases die within the span of 2 weeks. So for MarvelRivals to still continue seeing that success is an achievement in and of itself. And most of it is because it's just a genuinely great video game that harkens back to the good old days of Overwatch before Blizzard killed it. But enough of the fluff. You want to know why this game has been my latest obsession alongside Balatro, the greatest game of our generation. Without further ado, to start off 2025, this is my love letter to Marvel Rivals. One of the more noticeable things that have become more and more apparent over the course of this current gaming generation is how obvious the turn towards realism over an art style and art direction has become. Now, of course, there are games out there that are exceptions to this rule, but more often than not, a lot of games nowadays push more and more into graphical fidelity and how good a character is rendered as opposed to just looking good on its own. The thing is, the games that have a more distinct art style and art direction are the ones that gamers remember the most, and have longer lasting memories with. Take for example, last year, a game like Astrobot was able to take the award for Game of the Year, and that game manages to both look good and have a distinct style that makes it stand out. This whole tangent is basically just for me to make an excuse to say that Marvel Rivals is one of the best looking games ever to release in recent memory. Right out the gate, you can easily tell how amazing the game looks and what makes it stand out the most above all else. The animation, the cell shading on the characters, the environments, and so on not only makes the game look phenomenal, but you could also tell that this was made by developers who love the comic books. The animations for every part of the game's design is perfect and makes me fully immersed into its setting and keeps me feeling awestruck. Now compare this to games like Marvel's Avengers. It's almost just night and day. Comic books are meant to look and feel flashy with their costume designs. If you try to replicate those costumes in a more realistic art style, it takes away all that substance and cool factor and just makes the characters bland and unappealing to look at. The developers of Marvel Rivals knew this. Marvel Rivals' art style and character designs look like it came straight out of a comic from the 60s and 90s era of Marvel, which gives me hope they'll give a cell shading skin to characters in the future to replicate how comics looked, but we'll get into that when we talk about monetization.
Hello again, true believers! Bet you didn't expect me this soon, huh? But I wanted to acknowledge a core part of this game that Spec and a dozen other players failed to acknowledge, and that is the music. Just like the game's art style, its music is what makes a game's identity. No matter how short or long the song is, it needs to stick in your head and makes you understand the world and style of the locations you'll be traversing with your team. Each map's soundtrack reflects the world and its culture and music, while also telling a story and what the world is going through thanks to Doom's meddlings. Take for example the Wakanda maps, a style of music that fits its people and world while showing just how far advanced the people have become now that they are a space empire. Another example is the Clintar maps. Its soundtrack conveys a sense of dread and horror, which makes sense considering Null is involved, and with how much is at stake, the music should be high and deep in tone, just like the tone of the story in that world or map. But this is just one of many ways music makes this game setting more important, and it couldn't have been done without these amazing composers of the game. And a huge shout out to the man himself, Masahiro Aoki from Capcom fame. As soon as I heard those guitar riffs, I knew that it was him, as I was a fan of his work in Street Fighter V and his works in Bayonetta 3 and Astro Chain. If you haven't already, I would highly recommend you listen to the soundtrack. It's available on all streaming services and you can find a couple of the songs on YouTube. I implore you to take a listen for yourself just to see how good the music is in this game. But now that I talked about the music, I'll let you folks get back to what my good friend Spec is explaining about. But this won't be the last time I appear in his love letter too. So with that said, I'll see you guys in a bit.
However, the biggest surprise about this game, at the very least for me, and this should not go unstated and unmentioned, is how surprisingly optimized that this game actually is. The game runs on Unreal Engine 5, and if you know anything about the engine's insanely iffy track record, is that engine is actually pretty bloated and does not particularly have the most optimized games in existence. So you can imagine my absolute shock when I came to notice that just how well optimized and polished this game has been since launch. I played the game predominantly on Xbox and played a little bit of it on PC with a 2060 Super, and I was surprised with how little to no issues that I came across. I can run it surprisingly well on my PC, not the best, I can't be able to run it on the highest settings, and I did encounter one full game crash on PC, but it's still insanely impressive how little issues I come across for an Unreal Engine 5 game. It goes doubly so with how close to perfect the netcode to get into matches is. I mean, just look at how quickly I can get into a match with this one clip. The longest I think I've ever taken to get into a match is at least 30 seconds, but more often than not, I'm able to get into matches with no issues, lag, stutters, and everything else in between. For a game that has as many players as it does, I am absolutely surprised that the game's servers have been as well put together and seamless as they are now. And on top of that, the game recently got updates to further improve performance and stability issues. This adds on to how quick they are with their live service model, but like I said, we'll get to that later. But all of this is just window dressing for what the actual game provides just as well, which is the actual gameplay. The gameplay in more ways than one is almost 100% like Overwatch and all the other hero shooters. If you've played Overwatch before, you will absolutely feel right at home with this game, if not more so. And a large majority of this is due to the expertly crafted 35 characters added into the game's roster. Easily the best part of the game is the characters that they have added. Each of these characters feel unique, look unique, and play unique from the next, and they all just feel really fun to play. The game's characters are split into the standard class formula such as Duelists, Strategists, and Vanguard, and each of the characters fulfill their role and fit right where they belong.
I'll let you angry, Cawie. Maximum pulse! 3, the hard rockets.
Duelists are your main damage dealers, the ones that have the most characters, the ones where I spend more about half of the time playing it, and also are every competitive player's biggest tumors when trying to rank to Grandmaster. When I think of fun characters within there, I instantly think of characters like Hawkeye, Hela, Squirrel Girl in more ways than one, hehe, Moon Knight, Black Widow, Iron Man, Punisher, Star-Lord, and my newest personal favorites being the newly added Mr. Fantastic. Vanguard are your tanks, the characters that will take the most hits, and the ones with the biggest health pools. This is the group of characters that I don't particularly spend the most time with, but characters like Thor, Doctor Strange, Venom, Groot, and Penny Parker are major standouts in this group. And then there are the strategists, your supports and lifeblood over your team, no matter what instant-locking duelists will tell you. The strategists are probably the most fun I have within the game, if I'm being honest. They don't have a huge amount of choices like I do playing duelists, but they're the ones I enjoyed playing the most. My favorite character in the entire roster, personally, is Loki, because not only is he a literal wild card, but a massive monster on defensive play if you place your clones right, switch between them, and then shapeshift to someone on the enemy team, and you get moments like this.
Mine! Woo! I never miss!
But it's not just Loki. Luna Snow, Cloak, Dagger, Invisible Woman, they all have really fun kits that all help turn the tide of combat. And you think I forgot? You thought I would forget about easily the most important member of the crew, and that is the bestest boy, Jeff the Land Shark. Just look at him and how cute he is. I can't help it. Everybody likes them?
That's not in the script.
There are more than 70 cat breeds, and this one is the cutest one of all. Everybody
Please get
likes
back
it.
on script.
There is nothing wrong with this character. Nothing. He's perfect the way he is. He is my son, and I'll protect him with my life. I mean, come on. Look at this freaking face. Look at this fucking face. Does this look like a little weapon of mass destruction to you? I rest my case. Anyway, in short, the gameplay is incredibly fun, because each character feels fun to use and fun to play no matter the situation. Even if Scarlet Witch and Iron Fist players have no skill whatsoever and totally don't piss me off in any way. No, I'm not coping, why do you ask? Every character feels like they earned their place on the roster, with even more characters coming, such as Human Torch, Thing, and even coming characters like Blade, Ultron, and a more recently rumored Professor X. Please let him be in the wheelchair, it would be so funny. But knowing them, they'll probably go with the Krakoa version, which I'm not against because he looks awesome. But when I think about exactly how the characters in Marvel Rivals play in comparison to other games like Overwatch's characters, I first thought about exactly how the characters' gameplay differ between the two, and I came up with two particular things that makes it stand out a lot from its peers. The first big one is the hero team-ups. Certain characters can team up with one or two heroes that gives each character a specific benefit. There are 16 team-ups in total so far in the game, and they all give characters unique moves or status effects that benefit your team. Hela can automatically resurrect Thor and Loki after killing an enemy should they be dead. Rocket and Jeff the Landshark can hop on Groot's back to become one singular force. Adam Warlock can give his revival cocoon power up to both Star-Lord and Mantis, allowing them to revive each other. Rocket Raccoon can create an ammo overload device that gives Punisher and Winter Soldier infinite ammo and increased fire rate on their weapons. And Hulk can team up with Wolverine that allows them to recreate the classic fastball special to hurl Wolverine at enemies. There is a lot more than I am letting on, but it helps create such a fun and unique experience as your character choices matter that much more, without some arbitrary role cube being needed to compensate. Choosing your team doesn't end with you choosing a specific role, it just ends with your teammates, and that dramatically shakes up the gameplay. The other thing that makes Marvel Rivals unique and stand out from the rest is actually how the characters themselves are designed. It's obvious that a lot of the roster all feel like the roles that they are supposed to be in, and that works wonders, but every once in a while I start to notice how it feels like some characters are able to fulfill two roles at the same time. For example, Storm is very obviously a DPS style character, but she also has an ability that amplifies everyone in her little AoE effect, but also her damage output as well, making her have a kind of support type system in her kit. But the biggest example of this for me is my new favorite character in the game, Mr. Fantastic. His kit is such a unique one because he's got the qualities of a duelist type character, but a couple of his moves have Vanguard-like qualities, such as the ability to reflect ultimates and being able to grow bigger and increase his health substantially. So not only is he able to do a lot of damage, but he is also super tanky, making him a duelist and Vanguard hybrid character. So in a way, you feel like you're fulfilling two roles at the same time. This also could just be because they incorrectly labeled him as a duelist instead of a Vanguard, but if what I'm noticing is true, and they are making hybrid characters to fulfill two roles at a time, that is, number one, insane, and two, gets me so excited for how they design characters going forward. Imagine Ultron being a duelist strategist hybrid that's a monster on both fronts, or Juggernaut as a DPS focused tank being able to obliterate the environment and be unstoppable to fight against. All of this put together makes me realize that no, this is not just a game to be played, this is a game to be broken. Side note, the environmental destruction in this game is top tier and is such a perfect addition to the gameplay. But this does lead to something that I have to talk about. No, the game does not need role queue in order for the game to be better. I can't believe we're still asking this a month in. This game encourages you to play the characters that you want to play, as well as being able to be adaptable on the fly. Learn these characters, get used to them, and if they aren't for you, there's another that probably fits more your speed. Even more so with the team-up mechanic like I mentioned earlier. Role queue will not benefit the game. It will simply restrict the overall experience for something that they clearly don't want to make, but also doesn't want you to play. Yes, there are those annoying insta-locking DPS players that just ruin the experience for others. That's bound to happen in any competitive game, but it's important to be able to adapt should matches go awry. Which leads to another take that I have. I think they should go crazy with designing these characters, like Mr. Fantastic moving forward. Lean more into the power fantasy that these characters provide, and make more unique characters that fulfill several roles at a time. This is exactly the type of game that would reward this kind of setup. It would ultimately allow players to come up with even more unique matchups, more unique setups, more creativity, and that breeds teamwork. Focus on that and everything else will fall into place. And of course, don't just overly nerf characters. Adjust accordingly and you'll keep your fans relatively happy. We don't want another Helldivers 2 type situation again. But enough of me gushing over the actual gameplay design of the characters and all that, let's talk about the maps and modes. As of right now, there are 3 main game modes with 9 maps to accommodate them, and 2 arcade modes, each with their own map to play on. The 3 main modes are Convoy, which is your standard payload pushing like Overwatch, Domination, which is a capture the point game mode, and Convergence, which is a combination of the 2 into 1 where you cross 3 checkpoints to cross to reach the end. Each of these modes have at least 3 maps that range from Asgard to Wakanda to Tokyo 2099 to Clintar, and randomly cycles in and out. The 2 arcade modes are Conquest, which you kill opponents and gain Chronovium to win, and the recently added Doom Match, which is a free-for-all mode where you have to get 16 kills to win. Conquest has you playing on the Ninomaru map in Tokyo 2099, and Doom Match has you fighting in the Sanctum Sanctorum. Oddly enough, another big reason why this gameplay is so good is, yeah, these maps kinda bang! They all have unique setups and well-placed flanking points and a variety of vantage points that helps complement the gameplay, and that's not even talking about the environmental destruction in the game that I mentioned earlier. It adds such a whole lot of levolution to the game, and reminds me of so much of the classic Battlefield days, and perfectly meshes well with the core gameplay. Also, these modes are just as fun too. They even had some cute little Christmas events like the Jeff the Landshark Splash Festival, where you play as Jeff to cover the entire land of snow like a fun little Splatoon side mode. All of this perfectly encapsulates why the game works so well with some of the best elements of its predecessors, while also adding new and fun additions at the same time. Then of course there's competitive mode and tournaments, but I honestly don't think that playing ranked in these types of games isn't really worth your mental health.
And welcome back, my friends. Did you miss me? Good, cause now we're gonna talk about some bullshit! Unlike Spec, I decided to take up the challenge to talk about competitive play, not just to explain the struggle of playing through this mode, but to obtain the elusive red invisible woman skin that I really want for no reason but to feel accomplished that I complete a goal and nothing else. Yep, nothing else indeed. Now, let's start. Competitive matches consist of both domination and convoy modes, like quick play, but instead for convoy specifically, you play 2 rounds. One where you try to stop the convoy from reaching the destination, and the next round where you defend/escort the convoy to the marked location. Seems simple enough. So what's the problem, you may ask? Everything! First issue is that I want to address is the main point that will often get you in a losing streak is your team. Teammates will be picked depending on your rank and number. So if you're Silver 2, you're most likely paired with Silver 3, 1 or 2 players. However, you'll randomly get a member who is Bronze, which is the mostly end up dying a lot. The other thing is that the one player will end up trying to experiment with characters when you should have done it in practice range. If you're doing this in competitive, then why are you even playing competitive? Go to quick play or practice play or some shit. That's not the only reason why your teammates is the issue. On occasion, one member who's most vital part of a plan ends up leaving either by a disconnection or rage quit. Well, then you can say goodbye to winning the game, because now your chances of winning are fucked to 0. It's the most disappointing and downright bullshit way to lose a match, and you're better off just playing quick play with randoms instead of playing competitively with randoms, because you basically are just playing the game solo because your team don't have a goddamn pulse. You might as well have one-way trip to Helheim prepared, because that's where you're gonna end up at. Although, getting a chance to see Hela is not a bad thing, if I do say so myself. But the only true way to play competitive is with a team where you can communicate properly with a microphone. Cause the ping system, while useful, is basically does fuck all with communicating. I would recommend joining the official Discord for MarvelRivals, because you'll end up fighting individuals who will actually do research as you try to win while communicating to get a better advantage over the other team. The second reason is the stress you will endure when trying to capture the zone or convoy traversal. Just take the entire Battle of Normandy beach scene in Saving Private Ryan, and that's basically your experience in competitive play. I once had a ranked match that lasted over 30 to 40 minutes long. No match should go that long in a PvP game. Never in my life have I seen the enemy team be more aggressively sweaty, and I swear they must be Smash Brothers players in disguise. You can defend for your life in a 3v4v1 while your team is either dead, headed toward you, ignoring you like little bitches. And when you're trying to prevent the convoy from heading to the zone, please don't die, cause the distance to go to the first zone is so long that by the time you got into that area, they already completed that area, moving on to the next one. I hope in later seasons or patches that when you die, you spawn in an area closer to the zone, cause it's tiring to go back so far, unless you're Doctor Strange, or Iron Man, or Spider-Man, or Venom, or Punisher, or Penny, or Captain America. Damn, there's a lot of characters that can reach the area quickly. What the fuck have I been doing so long? What the shit?
Daddy, chill.
What the hell is even that?
Now, why exactly would you put yourself through all that stress and frustration, my friend?
I'm glad you asked that, my young ward. You do this to get a few things, one of which is bragging rights. The second is nameplates, and the third is exclusive skins. When you reach gold, you'll get a skin for a random character. Season 0 is a gold Moon Knight skin, and Season 1 is a red Invisible Woman skin. And yes, I am very mesmerized by this. Yes, I am working my ass off for this game. And yes, I will make it my second default skin for her. The first being the Malice skin cause, well, you get the idea. But even with the fantastic skin you get for reaching gold, I highly don't recommend this mode unless you are dedicated to this game and have friends to communicate with you through mics, cause it's extremely stressful to play with randoms cause they can give you the most unpredictable fucks you can get. If I can give any positives for this, is that it's a better competitive mode than Overwatch 2's competitive play. Try it out for curiosity's sake, otherwise stay away from it and stick to just quick play. Trust me, you'll have a much better experience and not want to pull your goddamn hair out. Now if you excuse me, I'm gonna go play some more competitive play, and then go to bed. Catch you later, Spec. I'll see you on Street Fighter 6.
Thanks for the side tangent, my wonderful friend who totally didn't ask to be a part of this video last minute so that he could rant about competitive and its players.
God, competitive play is fucking bullshit. Fuck!
Overall, every aspect of this game works at being made to have fun. The character roster, the map design, the user interface, visuals, environmental destruction, it all works to make it so it not only feels like an old friend, but also adds new innovations to the formula that makes it stand out on its own. Although playing competitive is quite tumor-causing, the overall gameplay and content in the game is masterclass in hero shooters, and it's only gonna get better. I mean, seriously, I get into matches with a couple of really good people, and almost every single time, we get moments like this. Oh, we got this. Oh,
no, it ain't! No, it ain't! No, it ain't! No, it ain't!
We got this.
Stay up on him! Stay up on him!
I'm stuck. Oh no, I'm stuck.
Stay up on him!
Get him.
Yeah! 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 They squabbling outside! Yeah! Yeah! You wasn't taking that from us!
MVP!
Oh! Yeah!
Yeah!
Finally! Oh my God!
Nice.
I want to say
Huge
thank
dubs.
you to everybody who was in the war on everything.
I like to
I
thank
worked
the
so hard.
Academy.
I worked so hard for this. Oh God!
I want to thank the team. Oh, back
The whole
from the
team.
dead, Spectre.
Everybody.
Hell yeah,
Oh
brother.
my God! It was amazing.
Hell yeah, brother.
I'ma tell you, man. I prayed for times like this, to rhyme like this, to spit these hits. Oh my God, that was crazy, man.
That was amazing.
Oh.
But as much as I could sing the praises of the art direction and the gameplay, the true big surprise of Marvel Rivals is how it handles its live service model. Marvel Rivals is one of the most shockingly good examples of how you handle its live service, and it's the last topic for today that I want to hammer home about. A full disclaimer, I will be quoting this video by Brickys about Helldivers 2 handling its live service a lot throughout this video. Because while yes, the games are vastly different from each other, Helldivers being a co-op PvE squad-based shooter and Marvel Rivals being a PvP-focused hero shooter, the way they handle their live services is mostly the same thing. Mostly. And the biggest reason for this is how the game's live service benefit a lot from being a player-first model as opposed to being a money-first model. Being able to treat your players actually like players will always benefit the game in the long run, and goodwill sells far more than you might think. The biggest thing comes from whether or not specific items that are to be sold give any statistical benefit or not. For a game like Marvel Rivals, being a good game isn't the only thing for this game to achieve success. That may sound weird of me to say, as the game itself and how good it actually is would be considered the most important thing ever, even if Overwatch players will have a problem with that whenever Rivals gets brought into discussion. For a live service game like this, it is free to play on top of that. The biggest thing that it relies on in order to make the money back is through battle passes, microtransactions, and cash shops giving you skins for your characters. But in a surprise twist, Marvel Rivals breaks the one rule that most live service games adhere to. You cannot sell any items or costumes that give the player any real statistical bonus in-game. Even if the bonus isn't particularly great, it can never be sold.
Creating a new SKU for a game's sales is something that requires a not insubstantial amount of dev time. A SKU in this context is a method of being able to sell an item for a game. On our side, it looks like insert money get thing, but you do need to code that. You need to code that this armor is not allowed into anyone's inventory unless they go through the channels that allow you to purchase credits and then spend credits to unlock it. Helldivers has created a SKU that allows you to purchase primarily one thing, which are the new battle passes they call War Bonds. What are the things you unlock in War Bonds? Armor, weapons, cosmetics, more credits, and boosters. What can you not get with these new War Bonds? Stratagems, ship upgrades, new maps, new enemies, and other major game-related options. I don't think Arrowhead will ever attempt to sell these, but if they do, they will need to spend dev money to make a brand new SKU for it. So it does garner a bit of confidence that these are the main things they're looking to sell, and other parts of the gameplay systems, stratagems, maps, enemies are not.
But this all comes back to the sandbox of the game. Helldivers, in a crazy way, breaks one of the most important conventions in video game microtransaction law, which is you cannot sell items that give you any kind of statistical bonus in game. Even if the bonus isn't good, it should not be sold. A lot of games did this back in the day, remembering vividly Advanced Warfare, Mass Effect 3, and Star Wars Battlefront 2. The community, rightly, turned on these ideas pretty quickly, and now it's almost entirely cosmetic.
This was one of the biggest concerns when it came to this game's monetization. The only thing the game realistically needed to sell was skins for your character that look cool, and that's about it. And they did exactly that. Which brings us back to what is considered the most important part of this discussion. How much content does Marvel Rivals give to the players for pure player benefits versus how much the developers asks of us in return?
There is a phrase, I don't know if it has a name yet, but it's basically the concept of a player benefit and a player request. What do you add to the game that is purely for the player players benefit, and what do you add to the game that is you asking for the players' money? So long as A always overtakes B, you will keep your players very happy.
Examples of player benefits in other games are releasing new characters, making changes to maps, adding brand new unlocks, new game modes, and so on. Player requests are adding new battle passes, new armor in the rotating shop, skins for your characters, anything that you upfront say, this is new content that you need to pay for. In the case of Helldivers, we need to ask, what have they asked of us? An initial price of $40, which should not go unstated, as that is a pretty hefty asking price for a live service game, as most attempt to be free or close to free. The rotating shop with armor sets that isn't too annoying, but present. Then there are currently 3 total war bonds, each individual battle pass that you play to unlock all the benefits, with a 4th one coming out very soon.
What has Helldivers added in terms of pure player benefits? A constant stream of new maps and special effects and conditions on those maps, brand new game modes, such as the base defense one and the Termicide, new stratagems on a consistent schedule, including the Quasar Cannon, Heavy Machine Gun, and Patriot Mech Suit, brand new ship upgrades for each of the individual categories, new enemies to fight, including the bot gunships, flying bugs, and fabricator walkers, and this should not go unmentioned as well, an evolving game narrative and major order system, keeping the experience fresh by incentivizing new enemies and maps for players.
Right now, Helldivers is in the lead by a solid margin entirely on player benefits. When another game adds player benefits, stapled onto it are always player requests. Here's a brand new character and a brand new map for Overwatch 2, but here's a brand new battle pass you have to go through in order to get part of it. Also, don't forget about the massive store refresh and all the other egregious prices that go with it. Here is a brand new map and gun for your Apex Legends, as well as a massive battle pass store refresh, and if you don't have the points, you have to grind them out or buy the new legend with your money. Halo has this particularly bad. I like playing Halo Infinite a lot right now. I find logging in for 1 to 2 games of big team battle and logging off is just a great way to take it easy, but every time I log in, I see maybe a new map or 2 every few weeks, but goddamn, you're throwing these battle passes into my face every single time, and also telling me how sad it must feel that I didn't buy this armor in time, so it just stares at me saying unavailable, grayed out on my Spartan.
With this concept in mind, let's take this philosophy and apply it to MarvelRivals, starting with what the game asks of us. For starter, the barrier to entry is non-existent, as this game is free to play and you don't need to worry about having to spend extra money to even access the game. What the game asks of us, for starters, is a rotating shop that sells character skins that aren't particularly annoying but are still there, and sells at a price of $15 to $20 a pop. And of course, the standard $10 battle pass that has you unlock other skins, currency, sprays, player icons, and everything else in between. Now we must ask, what exactly does MarvelRivals give us out of just pure player benefits? A constant stream of content on consistent schedule throughout each season, new maps and modes that accommodate said season in order to keep the gameplay fresh, new characters on a consistent basis like Mr. Fantastic, Invisible Woman, Human Torch, and The Thing just for Season 1 alone, with even more characters coming out over time, an overarching story and lore that adds extra context to character dialogue, map design that keeps the experience fresh and gets people interested, as well as a consistent amount of updates of characters, performance, stability, etc. on a consistent schedule to further better the experience for players. Right now, MarvelRivals is far and beyond ahead of the curve in terms of giving players more benefits as opposed to asking more money out of their wallets. And on top of all of this, and it cannot go unheard, the skins look awesome. A large majority of the characters' skins look incredible, having unique animations and other items like sprays, player icons, and other benefits that go with it. We could argue about the price of these skins till the cows come home, but so long as the skins look good, especially as good as they do in this game, I can see where temptation can take hold. I mean, for heaven's sake, the current battle pass going on right now gives you 10 skins. 10! And the asking price? $10 fucking dollars! And that's not even talking about the other stuff in it like gallery photos and other currencies to buy even more skins. And all this is completely earnable in-game. Is it a lot of currency? Not really. But not only does the extra currency soften the blow, the units and lattice in particular can both be used together to buy these skins or even save up for the next battle pass. The events also give you extra stuff like units, chrono tokens, etc. by just playing the game, completing missions, learning characters, and often using characters that I normally wouldn't use at all. The game's core monetization and live service is completely designed to give you benefits as opposed to feeling like you're being drained of your money. And if you play well enough, you will be able to get even more lattice to continue the progression, and in some occasions they'll buy a skin or two. You get more money by treating gamers like gamers, and whatever extra revenue you gain from microtransactions and battle passes will fall into place naturally because the players are gaining more bank for their buck, and goodwill is established in the long run. This is why I used Helldivers 2 as a perfect example when talking about this, because while the games are different, they both manage to accomplish something that almost every other live service has failed to do so for over a decade. MarvelRivals follows a player-first model versus a money-first model. By giving more to your customers, the customer will then give you more money, and both parties are happy at the end of the transaction. Oh, and to add on to this, the battle passes do not expire, so you can continue to progress on it at any given time, and you don't feel pressured to complete it before the season ends. I'm a full supporter of this game. I bought both of the battle passes, and even bought one or two skins cause I felt they earned more of my money by respecting me as a customer, respecting my time, and respecting my wallet. And that will work wonders for the future of this game. MarvelRivals is absolutely incredible right now. It is a monumental success in the hero shooter genre, and I'm absolutely shocked that the game is as good as it is in its current state. Now, of course, time can be a cruel mistress, and we might see a shift in this opinion over time, as evidence that my videos at times seems to age like milk. But the only thing we can only hope for is that NetEase keeps it up in the current state that the game is in. Everything about this game works to create one of the best games to cap off last year, and it'll only continue to grow over time. But the most important part that this game was able to accomplish, and it makes this game that much sweeter for me, is that it ignited my love for Marvel Comics as a whole. I mean, seriously, the lore is pretty cool in this game. I'd recommend it. Check it out. I am so excited to see what else this game will do to give this franchise the justice that it deserves and lost for so long. So congratulations to NetEase, you managed to accomplish what most other games failed to do so, and the success and popularity it has represents that. I'd recommend MarvelRivals to everyone, wholeheartedly. It is one of the best games of last year, and I could never be happier to be wrong about a game in my entire life than I am with this one. It is a phenomenal game, and it's not going anywhere. And that is my love letter to MarvelRivals. Thank you to all of my beautiful acolytes for watching this video. Let me know what you thought about the video, if you disagreed with my points or not, or if I compelled you to try the game out. Subscribe to my domain if you want to see more of this type of content, and remember, the storm always watches. Have a blessed day.